4 years ago, the Florida Legislature passed the REACH Act, the three-pillar Florida Workforce System Transformation Plan. That one, it advances alignment and consolidation of local workforce development boards, okay? And two, it requires system-wide improvements for enhanced customer consistency and just better leveraging of public funds. And also, it guides regional planning to support workforce system alignment and education, economic development, and optimizing opportunities for regional economic growth. I know that is a whole lot of words to describe how Florida is creating talent pipeline opportunities, including workforce training grants and apprenticeships, to also just helping businesses build resilient teams and helping us Floridians find meaningful employment. And one of the catalysts here, we're talking about CareerSource Florida. And we have Adrienne Johnston, the president and CEO of CareerSource Florida. Thank you so much for joining us once again here on In Focus, Adrienne. We really appreciate your company and your expertise.
Well, thank you so much.
I know, that summary, how'd I do with that? A lot of words there. So we just have a lot going on. How do you want to kick this off? What conversations are you guys having right now?
Well, I appreciate that so much. It's such an honor to be here and to be able to talk about the workforce system in Florida, because really it is an innovative approach to talent development that no other state in the nation is taking on right now. As you mentioned, it's really focused on accountability, but the ultimate thing that we're looking for are outcomes. Our primary customers are businesses and also those job seekers who are looking to find opportunities for economic self-sufficiency that otherwise they maybe wouldn't have. So if they are having challenges with childcare or transportation, our network can help them overcome those challenges while also achieving a training opportunities or a new job or career that is going to set their family up for success. So a lot of the conversations we're having are how do we make sure that we have the frameworks in place to ensure that our system is accountable but achieving those outcomes.
Got it, have the framework in place. And so then, let's step back real quick. CareerSource Florida, what is your main objective, your mission here?
Absolutely. So our main mission is to ensure that we have the talent development pipeline for businesses and industry that's responsive to their needs. But like I said, we're really focused on those job seekers who maybe have barriers. And why that's important for business is it lets them tap into a talent pool that otherwise they wouldn't have access to. So if I'm struggling with childcare or transportation or some kind of barrier, lack of training, then I'm not participating and engaging in the labor market. I'm not viable talent for business when right now we're in an economy where businesses need everybody at the table and they need them to be skilled. So that's our mission. It's to really make that match and align the business needs to the training opportunities and ensure that everybody can participate in the labor market.
You know, and when I think back to the height of pandemic, 6 years ago now, we had Florida's Department of Economic Opportunity, which then had become the Florida Department of Commerce. So, what is CareerSource then a part of that structure? I feel like there's so many state entities, it's hard to see who's partnering up, and there's a lot.
Yeah, there is a lot, which is great. It's actually one of our great strengths in Florida is that we have so many wonderful partners at both the state and local level. But yes, to answer your question, we are a part of Florida Commerce. Administratively, we're housed there. We were created in statute by the legislature to ensure that there is focused attention on building Florida's talent pipeline. So we work very closely with the Department of Commerce, we work closely with the Department of Education, but what's really unique about the REACH Act and the leadership of Governor DeSantis is that they've broadened that state partnership to include other agencies like the Department of Children and Families, Department of Health, Transportation. So we work with so many of our state partners to ensure that we're aligned and we're making sure that we're not duplicating efforts as we're meeting workforce needs.
Got it. And let's then talk about our great schools here in Florida. And I just want to know, are we turning out the workers that the companies need right now in this particular climate?
I think you said it right. We have great schools in Florida, and not everybody seems to know that, but we have been number one in education, number one in higher education for many years. We've been rated #1 for 3 years in a row for talent development across the country. We're recognized as a leader in talent development across the nation. So we do have wonderful schools, particularly our career and technical education programs. When you're talking about what the labor market needs right now, what our employers need right now, they need technical skills, and oftentimes it's building on foundations that students are getting through the K through 12 education system, but they might need an additional credential that really hones in those technical skills, and we have incredible programs for that throughout the state.
So speaking of tech skills, we also have STEM and STEAM, and we've done a lot of shows on that. So what data maybe do we have just showing that that is being utilized and that is being sought after from companies? These kids are always in science fairs, and it seems to even be involved in enrichment classes these days as well.
Yeah,
so what
absolutely.
do we know about STEM and its success?
Yeah, that's a great question. So one of the things that we do at CareerSource Florida is manage what's called the Master Credentials List. This was another thing that was created from the REACH Act. What's wonderful about it is it gives us both hard data, but also it's the opportunity to work with businesses to hear directly what their needs are in terms of credentials. So through that process, we're collecting a lot of information on exactly what the needs are from those businesses. So every quarter, we're collecting applications from industry partners, from economic development partners, and local workforce boards. And that tells us exactly what types of skills are needed right now. And it is what we're seeing, it's those STEM related credentials. So things that are geared towards engineering, and we're seeing a huge growth in aerospace related needs across the state. So it's really that mix of hard data, but also what we're hearing on the ground from businesses, because not all of that's going to show up in the hard data. They have to tell us what's coming down the pipeline, and this is a great mechanism for us to get that information.
What about, Adrian, older workers? What resources do we have to retrain or kind of recalibrate their interest in a particular field?
Yeah, so that's really one of the core reasons that the CareerSource Florida network exists, is as people go through their career and maybe the market shifts. So as we're talking about artificial intelligence, as we're talking about automation, there are definitely going to be disruptions and market shifts that are happening. And those who are maybe mid-career or even late-stage career, they're going to need those opportunities to adjust and retrain. So we have what are called incumbent worker training grants. Those are both available at the state level and at the local level. And those are really geared for employers who have great talent that they want to retain. Maybe somebody's been with the company for a long time, but the needs have changed. You don't want to let go of that person and start fresh. You want to be able to give them the opportunity to learn new skills and still be a valuable member of your company. And so those incumbent worker training grants are a great tool and resource for that.
So Adrian, I want to make a career switch. Say we want to do that. What resources do you have to help with that and to get that good paying job?
So one of the first things I would say is at our local boards, we have over 100 career centers across the state. And you can walk in and there are career counselors there to help you with exactly that issue. So first thing they're going to do is they're going to look at the labor market information and see what opportunities there are out there. They're going to do an assessment of your skill sets and see where maybe you have alignment with other industries or other occupations. And if there are gaps, if maybe there's some training needs that you have, then they can help support you in that training, either directly through scholarships, or they can plug you in with partners that can help you with that. One of the things that we're seeing a lot more, that's a lot more common now, are these micro-credentials. And what's really exciting about those is it's a way for people who maybe don't have time or resources to go back to school full time and spend a long time pursuing a new degree program. It builds on a foundation that they have, but it gives them those very specific skills that employers are looking for. They're highly aligned with industry needs, and they're short term. And so it allows people to continue working, or maybe just take a brief pause and then get that really concrete skill that will help launch them into a new career.
So micro credentials, what's an example of that?
There are so many of them out there. It could be anything from something that's soft skill related. So maybe you just need to brush up on what some people might call employability skills. But maybe you need a very specific let's say a software program that you don't have exposure to, and so you need to be able to demonstrate competency in that particular program. You can actually get a credential through one of our public education institutions that would demonstrate that you have that competency.
Awesome. I got it. And then, so, I know in the last block we talked a lot about the workers. I want to look at it from the other side. The businesses here in Florida, I mean, we're growing, so business, it has to be right now what you would define as good, right? Or what is the kind of the state of our businesses here?
We are continuing to grow faster than any other state in the nation, which is incredible. I would say, when you look at the economic data that we have, there's maybe a little bit of a slowness happening, which is not necessarily a bad thing because we've seen such explosive growth over the last 10 years. But what's really critical is our economy continues to diversify. And that's something that, if you've heard people talk about Florida's economy over the years, a lot of times they'll highlight tourism, which is an incredibly important sector for our economy. They'll highlight agriculture, which is also important. But what we're really seeing is we're becoming much more of a manufacturing economy. We have incredible investments in finance in our state. And so it's really the diversification. To me, that's what's exciting, both for our businesses, because that means that they have more opportunity to grow their own business. That means for manufacturers, they have more suppliers that are available to them. But it also, certainly going back to the job seeker, is exciting for those job opportunities. It means that there's just a new array of career opportunities out there.
Are you sensing or feeling an influx of businesses wanting to come here?
Absolutely. I know I'm not on the economic development side, but we work very closely with our economic development partners, and businesses are excited about what's going on in Florida. They see that it's really about intentional long-term sustainability. It's not the economic development strategy of our state is not about these quick wins and just doing kind of dangling carrots out there to get businesses to come in. It's really about making sure that businesses know that they have a place for long-term sustained growth. It's about infrastructure. It's about the workforce. Those are kind of the two key things that businesses are looking for when they are trying to expand or grow. And Florida has really made intentional investments in both of those areas.
And curious to know CareerSource Florida's role for businesses. So are you a facilitator for businesses or more of an ambassador of perhaps business relationships?
I would certainly say both. So one of the things that we do, so I mentioned how we help businesses tap into a job pool or a labor pool that they otherwise maybe wouldn't have access to. But we also work with the industry in each local area and with businesses directly to help understand what their needs are and make sure that everybody's at the table when we're talking about our training programs and that we're aligned across multiple organizations so that we're meeting their needs long term. So we definitely facilitate. We have education industry consortia at the local level to do exactly that, make sure industry's at the table, education's at the table, and our workforce partner and community partners are at the table to understand what their needs are. We also have direct funding that is available to businesses as well. So as they're trying to develop their talent pipelines, if they need training grants, we can help support those training needs with actual dollars in their pocket. So it can be everything from a reimbursable grant to support maybe expanding their talent pool, or like I mentioned earlier, incumbent worker training that supports businesses as they're training their existing employees. We also help support apprenticeship program development, and that's a direct.
Huge in the state. Yeah.
It is, and it's a direct benefit to those employers. We can help them navigate the entire process of building a registered apprenticeship program. We can actually sponsor the program for them, which takes off some of the administrative burden that they may incur. And really can help make sure that the training program is aligned with their needs long term.
Yeah. And let's talk about how business or maybe the profile of businesses is changing in Florida over the years. We talk about tourism all the time, and you alluded to that. But at the same time, we do have these rockets launching, it seems like every 3 days, even from our Space Coast. So talk to that.
Yeah, absolutely. So we have some wonderful large employers, great businesses in our state that have been here for a long time. But what's I think really changing is the focus on small businesses. So when I talked about Florida being a manufacturing economy, That's really driven by smaller employers, maybe 20 employees total. And so that's something that I think is not really widely known. I wouldn't say it's new, but it's something that people don't really know about our economy, that it's driven by small businesses, that they're often manufacturing companies or they're producing goods in our state. And that creates a whole host of job opportunities for folks. You don't have to go to that big, large corporation. You can actually go make something. You can be a part of a company that's small, close-knit, and have a real career opportunity and doing something that you wouldn't necessarily find in other states. We have semiconductor manufacturing. We're one of the top employers for semiconductors in the country. That feeds right into the space industry as well. So it's what we're seeing is there's a lot of different industries that are growing, but a lot of the skill sets needed are common across those industries. So you really have an opportunity to find a niche wherever you want.
So I imagine these smaller businesses are then feeding the larger ones.
Right,
Are you seeing that? Yeah.
Absolutely. So many of them work with those larger companies. They're important suppliers for those companies and important partners for them. So it's an ecosystem. It's not something that is kind of by happenstance. It's something that is long-term and sustainable, which is exactly what you want to see for a strong economy.
So Adrienne, we haven't talked about Tallahassee yet. So what do you need the most from our lawmakers right now?
Well, you already referenced the REACH Act, and I point to that because what I would say is Governor DeSantis and our legislature have led the nation in terms of innovation and workforce development. So they've created a system and a framework that really highlights accountability. It focuses on outcomes and sets a very high standard for performance in our workforce system, which is not something you see in other states. Yeah. And I say that because what I found is they've been wonderful partners in all of this and implementing the REACH Act and making sure that the bar is high and that the expectations for the citizens in Florida, when we're talking about talent development and making sure that education opportunities are there, they expect a lot, and I can't ask for anything more than that. They're wonderful partners, and we appreciate the continued feedback that they provide to us.
And so beyond the budget, do you find lawmakers then are making it easier for businesses and workers to thrive in Florida, or is there kind of a wish list of more needs to be done here?
What I would say is they've made this framework that really is focused on that alignment so that both can thrive. So when education opportunities are aligned with business needs and responsive in real time, because we know that those are going to continue to change rapidly. It's all about being able to be responsive to that. That's only going to benefit our job seekers and help make sure that there's long-term sustainable careers for them. So it's really about getting those things in place and making sure that there's constant communication and feedback. And I think that, like I said, they've led the way in making sure that the infrastructure is there to do those things.
And so CareerSource Florida also works with local CareerSource boards, right? Tell me about that collaboration.
Yeah. So we have 21 local workforce development boards across the state. They're regionally based. Some might serve one county, some might serve multiple counties. And they are local independent boards, and they're business-led, which is critical. So most of the members of those boards are businesses, and it's all about making sure they're meeting the community needs. CareerSource Florida is the state board for workforce development, making sure that there are proper investments, but also proper policy guidance in place to keep all 21 boards aligned and moving in the same direction in accordance with the governor's vision for workforce development.
Jobs, we all need them. Adrienne Johnston, thank you so much for your expertise and insight today. I really appreciate your company, and come back anytime here on the show.
Thanks for watching our YouTube channel. To keep up with important issues impacting our communities and hear more conversations with the people who are shaping the future, subscribe to our channel. You can also download our app or find Spectrum News on your TV for balanced, in-depth political coverage and more.